Let's start the session. For hands we have two aces and 8-9 of spades. We have two limpers on the right table, one limper on the left table, so there's actually quite a lot of fish at the moment. And with our set of aces we're gonna go for a full value. And with the 8-9 we don't have to see bet here, we have too much equity and there are two pairs, we're gonna go for a value here. And if he raises, which is gonna fold every time, he's never raising for bluff. So unfortunate, but yeah, pretty easy fold. With 7-6 we're gonna re-steal here. This guy looks pretty nitty. And with ace jack we can check raise here against the small sizing, and the bigger sizing we can just fold. And we're gonna continue on every 10, on every king, or on any club. And he folds, so it's a pretty good outcome. Ace-4 suited, we're gonna re-steal here against the cutoff. He seems pretty nitty, playing only 20 VPIP. So he's getting this orange tag are nits and bad rags. Most of the players here are gonna be nits. There are many nits, so exploiting against them is just attacking their blinds a lot. So here we're gonna go for a free streets of value. When he donks, he rarely has a flush. He probably has a flush draw or ace jack or ace 10, 8-9, ace 8. So we are going for value here. With the king jack we're gonna c-bet here. Queen is not a good card because he can now have a ace queen, but we are still winning against ace jack or ace 10. And with the king jack we're gonna continue bluffing here and probably check the river if he calls. Here we are value betting our ace 4. And he somehow has a flush, and he only donked turn for a 1/3 of the pot. We take it down with ace queen, standard thing. I would use opening size of 2.5 UTG and MP, and 2.3 on cutoff and 2.2 on button. I'm checking here how is this guy playing. He looks pretty nitty. So every time I see a smaller VPIP of 20, I will just open much wider. I'm just checking his sample, how many hands he played. So how relevant is his VPIP and PFR stats. With ace 10 we can re-steal here. But against free bet it's just a clear fold. So like I told you, I'm always free betting in position, rarely flatting, only if there are confirmed fish in the blinds. And this guy he has this purple tag. Purple tag are donks. So, but his VPAP looks pretty raggish now. So maybe it's a wrong tag for some reason. But anyway, I'm gonna attack the small sizing. I expect him to have many hands like king queen, king jack, or pocket pairs lower than ace. So on the 6, I'm gonna continue bluffing here. Now I think he doesn't have king queen or king jack, probably only aces or weaker pairs. And of course we're gonna value bet on the 6 or 7 on the river, but if he calls, we're just gonna shut down. He's never folding an ace here, so we're still winning against some flush draws, but this time we lost the hand. And against these two guys, they both look pretty weak, so I'm gonna flat deuces here, hoping to flop a set. But when we don't flop a set, we're just gonna release easily here. Ace-8 is open according to charts, but I don't like to open weak aces that do not make straights. So I just open A-deuce, Ace-3, Ace-4 and Ace-5 suited UTG. And here, this is a pretty raggish board. So we're gonna bluff even against free opponents, and we can continue on ace, on any heart. But luckily here we are getting folds. So this guy's a confirmed huge fish. I just checked notes about him. So here actually 3 fish tags. Blue ones are like semi-fish, green ones are confirmed fish, and purple ones are huge dunks with a VPAP of like over 50. Here we can check raise or we can see bet, but I think check raising is better because this board favors the caller. So when the board favors the caller, check raising and betting a big turn is probably the best idea. And here we are going for a full value. If he calls, we're going to shove the river. So we are setting up the sizes so we can easily get in money on the river. But unfortunately he folds. I'm not sure to do this situation because he's very short, so we're probably just gonna call and hope to to flip. And here we're just raising to deny the equity from the other guy if he has any 2 overcards. But when he calls, we're just gonna release here. He probably has a 9 or 8s or even 10s. And yes, he has a 9, so we have to release. This guy looks fishy, so he's getting a green tag. And we are not gonna bluff freeway against the fish, because he's just gonna call too wide. This guy is a net. So against the nets, I'm gonna open in some situations any 2 cards. If they're just folding too much, if they have like a big blind fold to steal of over 70, and they probably do if they are playing VPIP 16, then I'm just gonna open any 2 I have out to profit in these situations. That's one of the rare situations you can exploit people in these games. We're gonna usually c-bet 1/3 against 1 player, but against 2 players we can size up. Here we're gonna squeeze, but when he already squeezed, we're just gonna release. We can see bet, but we don't have to see bet against 2 players. We can just check call here if it's not a big sizing, like in this situation. And he probably has only 10, so we're just gonna bet small, hoping to get a call from 10. He doesn't have a queen. Maybe he even has like 2 9s or 2 8s. And that's pretty much the full value we can get from our royal flush. And against the fish limping, we're just gonna raise big here. For some reason the other guy also calls. On a king high board we're gonna c-bet our whole range here. 1/3 should be fine. They rarely have a king. They can have some pocket pairs, some straight draws. This is not a good card, so we're just gonna check here, hope to get a check back. Against the smaller sizing we can still call. Against the bigger sizing we're just gonna release. So 1/2 we can still call and win against some draws or pocket pairs. And he has 2 8s, so pretty good. We're gonna make ISO raise here also against the fish. c-bet call range on ace high board, and if he continues, we're just gonna check fold here. Or if he check backs, we can bluff the river on pretty much any card. He probably has a pair of sevens or even some smaller pocket pair, and he releases pretty good. Here we can fold or re-steal. Calling is probably not a good option, since then the big blind can squeeze. And here we can call, or we can call 4-bet, but I think calling is fine, because cutoff will rarely 4-bet here. And here with the 2 overcards and a flush draw, we can check raise if it's not a too big sizing. If he bets like 15 big blinds, I will just call. But for 10 big blinds, we can check raise here, small check raise, then bet turn and shove the river on pretty much any outcome. And on this board with all backdoors we have, with Queen 7 of hearts, we can stab small and overbet the turn on many turn cards. But people are not fighting back too much. They're not check raising too much, and they're not calling with their backdoors. And on 2 Broadway cards, we're gonna stab 1/3 with our whole range. If he continues, we're gonna be very careful on turn, probably checking back the turn and maybe bluffing the river if the opportunity comes. But when he check raises, we're just gonna release. This guy looks pretty nitty, so we're gonna open a little wider here. And on this board, we're gonna stab our whole range. Every time it's a pair board without straight draw, we're gonna stab our whole range. So he probably has a jack, flush draw, or a weaker pair. So here we're gonna check and bluff the river, but on the spade coming, we're not gonna bluff the river. We're gonna get called too lightly. We're gonna stab our whole range on this connected mid board. Here we're gonna continue value betting. He can have some tens, but he has a lot of weaker hands than us. And against this super nit guy playing VPAP 14, we're gonna open our whole range. Same thing on the left table. King 6 is a little loose for open. King 7 should be like a normal open. But since he looks pretty nitty, we're gonna open wider and attack the blinds. But when we get check raise, we're just gonna fold. When we get re-raise, we're just gonna fold. On a king high board, we are stabbing our whole range from 1/3. Here we can go for an overbet. he has many weaker hands, draws, tens. So here I'm using smaller sizing on a small blind because he looks very nitty. We don't need to step here. We can go for a check call since we have backdoors. And here I'm betting 1/3 just to fold his overcards to our pair. If he has a king, we're just gonna lose anyway. And I don't expect to win here a lot. But somehow he called us with the ace 10, so pretty good outcome. So king free can be a defense sometimes, but against this super net, it's always a fold. I will fold a lot of hands that I should be defending if I see the guy is in it. And here we are call for betting our ace king. If he shoves, we're gonna fold. He's never shoving weaker hand. He's never shoving here ace queen for 170 big blinds. And since this is very connected board, we're gonna go with a little larger c-bet. I'm usually c-betting 1/3 or even 1/4 of the pot in a 4-bet pots, but on a coordinated board like this, and since it hits our range pretty well, we're gonna step bigger. But since we didn't improve, we're just gonna have to release here against the big bet, and that's exactly what happened, so pretty unfortunate. But he probably had a pretty strong hand there. We're happy to play here in position against the fish. We're gonna stab on a king high our whole range. And I don't think we can continue bluffing here, but maybe we can bluff the river. I expected him to have 10 or 8. And against the red guy with the bluff, since I think he will call me pretty light, I just checked back. And this is a crazy loose open, but against guy who is playing VPA P16, I'm just gonna open my whole range. And ace suited can be a call or a free bet. We're gonna free bet in this situation. And on ace high board, we're gonna stab our whole range for 1/3 in a free bet pots. This is pretty bad card for us, but we still have a redraw to our nut flush. So we can just check call. This is also terrible hard. Now we are winning only against weaker aces and hands like Jack 10. So if it's not too big sizing, we're just gonna check call. If he bombs it, we're probably gonna fold. And against this sizing, we are just always calling, hoping he has a weaker ace or a missed draw. And pretty nice, pretty nice. With ace king, we are never calling here, we are always 4-betting. So we don't want to play out of position without the lead in the hand. So we're gonna go with a little bigger 4-bet size since we are both deep. And here release. On ace high board, we are still betting whole range for 1/3. And he raises. So when he raises, he can have a hand like 2 6s or ace-6, but that's pretty much everything he's representing. And maybe he also has some crazy bluffs or flush draws, or maybe turning his pair into bluff. So against this size, we just have to call. So now we are winning against flush draws and some crazy bluffs. That's pretty much it. But on this sizing, we just have to call. If he bombs it, I just have to fold. But on this sizing, okay, this guy is getting a red tag. That's like a special tag I make for guys who make really crazy aggressive moves. And I consider this pretty crazy aggressive move. Without any equity, he raised flop, then bet the turn and bet the river. I'm gonna make a note about that for the future. And here we're defending our queen 5 of diamonds, since it's a multi-way pot. But when we don't flop anything, we're just gonna release here. This guy is very nitty, so we can call or free bet here, but I still think free betting is better, even against a tight guy like this. If he 4-bets big, we can release. And this is a pretty coordinated board, pretty good for the caller, so we just have to check call here if it's not too big of the sizing. So we're not happy about the situation, but we just have to check call. And if he continues big, we're just gonna fold. That's a pretty big bet. Pretty much terrible board for us, but when he check backs, we can try to bluff the turn for smaller sizing. If he continues, we're just gonna surrender on the river. Again, smaller sizing, we're gonna reseal here pretty wide. You can see people are not using this 2 big blind sizing with the strong hands very often, so we are happy to take him down. And we finally have a bomb pot, so we're gonna play a little looser here, flattening a little more. If it's not too big of an open, yeah, so we have to flat this since there's already a lot of money in the pot. With 2-4s, we can do pretty much everything. We can re-steal, we can call, or we can fold. They're probably all good options depending on the players. But here we re-steal with the 2-4s and we get the fold. With Jack-8 of hearts, we're gonna defend here. We can bet into the razor 1/3, or we can check call. They're both valid options. Every time it's a multi-weight pot, if we have opportunity to bet into original raiser, that's not a bad idea, because he cannot lightly raise us since he has a player behind him. But also check calling can be fine. Here we have to call with our up and down in our pair. But if he continues now, we just have to surrender on the river. We are marking all the nets. Every time I see somebody is playing VPIP of less than 20, I will mark him as a net. Some reg stats should be around 26-20 or 25-19, but everything less than that I would consider a net. My stats are usually around VPIP 30 and PFR around 20, sometimes 22. So I usually play a little wider than classical reg, but not too crazy. And on this board we are always betting 1/3. We're gonna get a lot of folds. We are not getting any action with our big pairs, unfortunately.